Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's time to talk about a thing my members have been bugging me for, and I said okay, we'll do it. I went through every single haul I've ever posted on my channel, which date back to late, like December 2018, almost. But there are some old hauls. But yeah, I went back and watched every single thing I've uploaded with the word haul in the title that was book related. And that was, again, it wasn't quite 55 videos because there were some other things in there, but I'm just giving you the approximate count. And documented every single book I have purchased, manga, everything format-wise that I talked about in those hauls. Yeah, so that's basically nearly 7 years at this point of data. And I stand by, I'm not the best hauler. A lot of the hauls, like as we got later into the project, were just my manga logs and haul. So that was nice, but I don't haul a lot of books, like just standalone haul a book. Maybe I should do that more. I don't know, we'll discuss here. But yeah, 55-ish. In total, I hauled 1,191 books, which averages about 170-ish, 171-ish for, you know, books a year. That's a lot. Now, here's the good news. Of those 1,191 books, I've read 716 of them. That feels good. That feels really good. That does put me at about 60% that I've read. And that does not account for the ones that I have marked as not interested in reading and I just own as like part of my collection versus a like thing I'm for sure gonna read. Now, when I say that, I don't have a ton of books like that, but like I have hauled multiple editions of Sailor Moon because I collect multiple editions of Sailor Moon. I have not read the Sailor Moon mangas. I don't know if I'm going to or not. I probably will at some point, but even if I don't love it, I'm still keeping it because that's a very nostalgic piece of my childhood. So I think since I started my channel, hauled 2 different versions of Sailor Moon at this point because I have the pocket editions and I have the Eternal editions. I also have the other Kodansha editions from before we got the redo, like the updated art. Anyways, I have multiple versions of Sailor Moon I've hauled in this, so like that's some volumes cut down. But I feel pretty good about the fact that I've read 60% of what I've hauled over 7 years almost. That's not terrible. Should it be higher? Absolutely. If we accounted for like everything in full, like hauled, unhauled, and all that, I'm not sure what our percent would be. And honestly, I'll find that out and I'll put it in at the end of the video. So yeah, I've also noticed that I hauled way more manga than anything else, which is surprising but not. Like I started hauling manga in 2020. So it made sense that like I would get a big Right Stuff order in and do a haul. Like that was easy content, right? So here's the graph for you while I talk to you for a second through this. But yeah, this shows everything I hauled year by year and then also everything I read. You can see that for the most part, these weren't super far off from each other, I would say. Obviously, 2023, I hauled a lot. A whole lot. But I also read over 200 things. So that feels okay to see. All right, let's talk about formats of my haul, like formats of what I hauled. So this was kind of the least surprising. Again, I started hauling manga in 2020. And I know that obviously I purchased a lot of manga since I started recollecting it again. The graphic here is not a surprise to see manga over 600. Physical books being in the 300 range feels not terrible because again, I've been pretty diligent about not buying a ton of books I haven't read. Yes, I have to do try a chapter on my shelf / read the first sentence of things, see what I'm interested in this year. But that still like feels moderately reasonable in my opinion where I'm at so far because I don't have a ton of the backwards books. I don't have a ton. I have over 100, but it's still not as bad as it could be. I think the one thing I noticed the most when I was tracking this haul is I am so inconsistent on tracking digital items. Digital manga I manage decently well, but when it comes to ebooks, audiobooks, or anything like that, I don't really document what I'm purchasing very well. Like I put it in my Read What You Own template now, but that's it. Like I don't have somewhere that I'm really like diligently tracking that, and digital for me is just kind of into the ether, which is interesting. I mean, I guess the only place I have now that I'm tracking is I do have a folder on my Kindle now for each year of books purchased, so that as I read books I take them out and I can kind of see how many books I have from a specific year. That's gonna play into some try chapters next year probably, but yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to see that. I also would say like I buy digital books. I get a lot of digital books for free. So I don't buy like with money, but I do get will get a book for free when they do Kindle promo days. But at the same time, I feel like I'm getting these books that I just, like, they float off into the ether because I'm not documenting them anywhere. And I'm just, like, really, really not diligent about updating my reading spreadsheet with that stuff. Because it's just not, I don't know. It's not that I don't care about it. I've never been, like, good about it. Then we have the data about the books I marked as not interested. So again, these are things where I have multiples of a series, or things that I own for nostalgia's sake, or maybe I hauled digitally and now don't want to read. Instead of marking it as read and skewing that data, I made a not interested column. And this is the year by year of, like, not interested. All of this is under 30 books each year. And most years, it's not even that much. Like, most years, it's under 10 books. So I think that's really interesting. I think you can see the spike in 2022 and 2023 because that is probably when I hauled a lot of my Sailor Moon collection and some other things that I've now not gotten rid of, but, like, don't want to read now physically, or digital ebooks, like Stuff Your Kindle Day books, that I'm just not interested in. Okay, so after not interested, of course, we have to talk about the unhauling. So I only have like 5 unhaul videos on my channel. No, I didn't watch them and document what I unhauled. I didn't have it in me. I'm sorry, not sorry. But this number feels relatively small, and I know is not fully accurate because I didn't watch all of those unhauls. I then would have to, like, cross-reference what I unhauled and what I don't own. And I also didn't do that. Like, I didn't fully cross-reference every single physical book I hauled over the last few years and unhauled. Because I don't care enough to know that data. I just think it's interesting that I know for sure I have unhauled about 79 things. And I think it's also interesting if you look at my unhauls by year, you can see 2020 and 2022, I know, were the years I had the most things I unhauled. Again, I think that's not surprising. Physical books, I have about 47 that I know for sure got unhauled, and 20 manga, 11 ebooks of the 109 I hauled. So, like, that I thought was kind of interesting to see. I didn't expect it, to be honest with you. I actually thought I would have harder unhaul data, but as I read through the list, a lot of the things I'd read, so I just counted them there and not in the unhauls. So that was also the choice. It could only be one or the other. I did not allow things to be read and unhauled. So yeah, I think this is interesting, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how many books I unhaul as I work on this project to reduce my TBR. All right, let's talk about formats. So first things first, we'll talk about my 2 biggest categories, which are physical books and manga. So for physical books, I hauled 318 books. 26 of them I was not interested in anymore, and 47 I unhauled. I read 193, which again puts me at like 61% read, so that feels really good. Manga, I hauled 647 books. 56 of them are marked as not interested. 20 of them were unhauled, and 417 were read, which is a total of 64% read. It's like, that doesn't feel terrible. This graph, like, I don't feel guilty looking at this at all. Like, I feel pretty good about it. I feel like I'm buying things, I'm liking them, and I'm keeping them, and that's a win. That is a win to me. Now, when we get to the ebooks, ARCs, digital manga, manhwa, light novels, and graphic novels, this section's a bit of a mess. Ebooks, I hauled like over 100, and then everything else was like well under 75, if not lower. My ebook read percent is 25, but then like ARCs is 70 from what I hauled. Digital manga is 85, manhwa's 21, light novels are 38, and graphic novels are 60%. So this number is like really all over the place on how much of these I've read, and I definitely haven't unhauled a ton of them. So I would be curious as I like continue to work through my Kindle device, like my Kindle, and like double check more things, what these numbers look like. For me though, watching back 50 some haul videos, I think the eye-opening thing was, one, I need to not buy things that I'm not interested in. Not that I'm not interested in, but like that I haven't read enough of, right? So like I need to actually take the time in a bookstore and read the first chapter a little bit, like not even the whole chapter, just like the first couple paragraphs. Am I engaged? Am I interested in this or not? Before I pick up a thing I've never touched or an author I've never read. The other thing I think I need to do is I'm not pre-ordering any manga. Like everything I pre-ordered is going to stay through whatever I have, but I think come January I will not be pre-ordering any manga for the year, and instead I'm going to read down what I own enough to hit that 60-ish volumes and then allow myself to go shopping. although Shay's coming to visit me in the new year, of course. So I'm probably going to cancel pre-orders after November, honestly, and read down what I have and then go from there, because I don't, one, I'm drowning in options, but two, I think it would be really beneficial for me to cut myself off for a little bit here and get through these things versus continuing to add to the pile. Yeah, so I feel like I need to like reel that back in. I think as far as ebooks and audiobooks and all that, like I have credits places that I need to use at some point, but I think one of the things I'm going to work on is not using anything for at least the next quarter, the next month, you know, till through the end of the year to try and reduce numbers. I also think I need to try and document the hauls that I've as I continue to buy things in the spreadsheet or somehow. Again, I know I'm hitting them in Read What You Own, but I don't know. I'm starting to worry that some of my Read What You Own numbers are very inaccurate again still. I know I just did a tidy up, but I am realizing there's things I missed, but I really don't want to mess with that until January, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I think I just need to make sure I'm, you know, kind of reading more than I'm bringing in at the end of the day for my audiobooks and ebooks right now, which shouldn't be a problem. Like, it really should not be a problem. I also think this massive unhaul live I'm going to do later this month is going to be really, really beneficial. Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see how much that brings these numbers down. But yeah, I do think I just need to figure out a way that I want to better track my digital purchases that isn't just the Read What You Own spreadsheet. But at the same time, that's kind of working. So maybe I just let it be. I also think another thing I need to do is anything that's 5 years old, like from pre-2020 on my shelves that I read a little bit of and don't care for anymore, needs to go. That's part of my 30 and 30 goal this month. I have that tote where I put a bunch of my older manga in, and if I don't read them, I'm unhauling a lot of them. I don't have to read all of it, but I have to make progress in some of these series, right? And that's kind of my goal with it, is I want to make progress in these series and unhaul if I don't, or if I'm not enjoying it. So it's kind of making me pick from these books that I've been wanting to read that I've sat for so long, and then reducing the number of them that I have to read. But yeah, I think I just need to do better at focusing on actually reading what I own down again. So yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me, like looking at all this data, is like, I don't feel as bad as I thought I would. I really was afraid. I was terrified that I was going to watch all these videos and come out of this like mortified with myself. I'm not thrilled by any means. Like, obviously an 80 or higher would have been fantastic for every category. But I'm realistic with myself, and I know that my brain cannot always function when it comes to demand on things that I purchase and don't, like, I want to read that and I don't read it immediately. Like, I understand how my brain works with that. So, like, I'm not too mad about it. Like, I'm truly not. But yeah, I would love to know, have you ever looked back on all your books that you've purchased? Like, do you have data on this? I don't know. I feel like this is such a niche video topic. But yeah, have you ever looked at like the books on your shelves and thought about how old they were? How long ago did you buy them? How much of your shelves are read or unread? Again, majority of my books, like my regular books, are read. And then I would say a large portion of my manga has also have been read, but I do have a solid like 200 plus TBR to read through still. So there's that. Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting. And I think it's fun to see this kind of data play out for me. And I think it'll be interesting to look back on this in like a year and a half, maybe, if I've hit my dream TBR or not. Yeah, I would love to know if y'all have any data or interest on that. If you don't want to do any of that, you can leave me a graph or a nerdy emoji, a nerd emoji, because like I feel like such a dork putting this all together. But again, I think overall it was a fascinating thing to put together and to see where and how everything landed when it comes to reflecting on all this. I will have links to my friend anywhere on the internet that I am, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days in my next video. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for.